Chinese news! Welcome to Chinese news.
It comes from China. 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 It's not racist at all, no.
It's not racist at all, no.
Dailymail.co.uk has the headline here, with a huge headline. 27 Chinese warplanes enter Taiwan's air defense as Taipei says it, quote, won't shy away from a fight. President Xi sends forces to surround island as part of his plan to secure his unification legacy. Whoa, a lot going on.
Okay.
Yeah. It says here, dozens of Chinese warplanes entered Taiwan's air defense zone today, shortly after Nancy Pelosi flew out of the country following a diplomatic visit that infuriated Beijing and drew threats of military retaliation.
Oh, they're so mad.
They say. In total, 27 fighters, including 16 Russian-made Su-30 jets, crossed into the zone, which prompted defense measures from Taipei. The incursion comes amidst huge Chinese war games taking place until Sunday, which will surround the island in an effective blockade and cross into Taiwan's territorial waters. But Taipei's generals have defied the threats, saying today that they are not looking for a fight with China, but, quote, won't shy away from one either. Quote, we are resolved to uphold our sovereignty, liberty, and democracy, as they said in a statement posted alongside a video of fighter jets, submarines, attack helicopters, and warships on maneuvers. Quote, we fear no threat or challenges. We are not eager for a fight, nor will we shy away from one. We have the capacity and the will to uphold our valued liberty. Okay, so just repeating the same thing over and over. Good job, Daily Mail. Meanwhile, the G7 condemned the military drills announced by China around the island, saying in a statement, quote, there is no justification to use a visit as pretext for aggressive military activity in the Taiwan Strait. Xi Jinping has reacted furiously to Pelosi's visit, the most senior U.S. politician to go to Taiwan in the last 25 years, which comes weeks before he is due to assume an historic third term as China's leader at the party Congress. Matthew Henderson, associate fellow at the Council on Geostrategy, told Mail Online, quote, Xi has made so-called reunification with Taiwan his chosen cause and hoped for legacy as China's greatest leader since Mao. It would be as well to assume that in the run-up to the party Congress, when he intends to secure permanent autocracy, Xi will be willing to take significantly greater risks than the Chinese governments of the past. So more threats. And it's really interesting because alongside a lot of this news, I think China published like a military video, like a propaganda video.
It was a pretty cool one too.
It was similar to what we saw from North Korea, just a little bit better production. They got a better production team over there in-house in China, but it's a similar thing, dramatic music and rockets launching and things blowing up and military people running around.
I watched it twice.
Oh, twice. You're ready to fight for China.
I just love watching those little guys run around and show off their cool toys. They do a great production over there.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think? My whole thesis has been that Pelosi's there for G.
That is an interesting thesis.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with it, but I respect and will
not
fight
a lot
to
of people
defend,
do. But
to defend your right to have it.
My point is the United States has already been infiltrated by China for a while, and Pelosi is simply going there as an excuse for China to start flexing their military might. And sure enough, after Pelosi leaves, they start their whole thing, right? Okay.
My theory is not so far off, but it's not quite that Pelosi is like singularly, secretly in
cahoots
in
with
China. I think just the elites in general want to escalate tensions because we just need a war. That's what they want. They need a war. They need people to be scared. The military industrial complex wants to, much in the way that we approved 40 up to $60 billion in aid to Ukraine pretty much overnight. We need a reason to start sending all our old weapons over to Taiwan to help Taiwan defend itself. Of course, the U.S. will not get in direct conflict, but we'll fight a proxy war in Taiwan, just like we're doing in Ukraine. That wouldn't surprise anybody. I think the whole team wants it together. Now, I had an interesting experience reading about the whole thing. NPR did a piece on Pelosi, and my gosh, they did such a wonderful propaganda piece on Pelosi. I almost was proud of Pelosi by the end of it. It was like, Pelosi has consistently stood up against China. She unfurled an American flag in what's the square called?
Tiananmen Square? No.
Tiananmen Square.
Did she really?
Apparently in like 92 or something.
Oh, okay, in the past. Yeah,
it was a
sure.
long time ago. Yeah, she like visited and unfurled an American flag and made China angry. Now, this was before China was like a world-class military power. Indeed, even before, Bill Clinton sent all of our manufacturing over there, all that stuff. So this was, I don't know exactly why she did it, except to make a point. And the whole point of this NPR article was her, she's probably retiring after this congressional session. At least that's the rumor, is that she's had enough. She's done enough. She's going to retire. And so she wanted to go out with a bang and leave a legacy. And it made her sound really good on one hand, but it also made her sound really sort of selfish, narcissistic. Yeah. Just like, she's endangering the possibility. She's possibly at least escalating tensions towards World War III, just so she can leave a legacy behind in her political career. Now, she did lots of things. Now, of course, we know this is about semiconductors.
Right.
We don't really care about Taiwan. We care about Taiwan's semiconductors. Whoever has the best deal with Taiwan to get their semiconductors is pretty much who's going to lock down power for the next 10 years or so. And because the U.S. doesn't make their own semiconductors, it takes about 10 years or so to ramp up a semiconductor manufacturing facility. Our best case scenario is to really make Taiwan not just like us, not just approve of the U.S., but make them dependent on us, much like how we've done to Ukraine, where Ukraine is now dependent on us. It's clear. The most intellectually honest analysts have always been saying that the U.S., Biden in particular, but the whole machine itself really did provoke Russia into attacking Ukraine through the expansion of NATO.
Yeah.
Anybody who says otherwise is just either ignorant or they're lying to you. And I think this is a similar thing. I mean, this is a pointless provocation, at least from sort of, the perspective of a peace-loving citizen of any country in the world. This makes no sense. The only benefit is to Nancy Pelosi's political legacy, except for the fact that if we do escalate tensions, China does start threatening Taiwan in more direct military ways, then we get to send them billions and billions of dollars worth of military equipment, get them indebted to us. And it's not so much that we're just sort of want to be in their good graces, it's that we want to own them. We want to sink them in American debt. We want to make them reliant on American military supplies to protect themselves from China. And that way, we can send them $50-60 billion worth of military equipment, and to pay us back, they can give us the, exclusive rights to all their semiconductors, forever, basically.
Yeah.
So this is pretty easy. This is a pretty easy analysis once you have sort of a well-rounded view on all the aspects of this whole thing. And I think it's going to work. I think we're going to, again, I'm not saying I'm a genius for figuring this out, because we were also saying this months ago. Yeah. Months ago, when we were sending everything to Ukraine and tensions were rising with Taiwan. It's like, oh, yeah, of course, we want to do the same thing with Taiwan. And that's how we're going to lock down the tech to dominate the world, in so many ways for the next 10 years. It really is the American empire doing what the American empire does best. And that is sort of
Control.
creating crises that make it so smaller countries have to depend on us so we can extort them for their important resources.
Right.
Again, I've been listening to the Korean War podcast, and it's pretty much exactly what we did in Korea as well.
Yeah, the bots came out, and you can tell it's a bot if you see the same exact tweet over and over and over again, and different people posting it.
Right.
And the bot tweet was Speaker Pelosi landing in Taiwan to support their democracy, despite repeated warnings from Xi Jinping. It is exactly the kind of energy we need right now. #Taiwan.
And yeah, right. And you know how I know that I'm correct on this?
How?
Because Democrats and Republicans both agree. You have Republicans praising Pelosi for her bold stance. Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen any of that.
This is a bipartisan party.
Interesting.
If you've ever seen one. And the only other time in recent years that we've seen this much bipartisan support is in Ukraine. This is what it is. The Democrats and the Republicans.
That's interesting.
That this is going to happen because they
you cut
both
out for a
agree.
second. I thought you were done talking, so we probably in the audio version are talking over each other right there. Sorry about that. Didn't know you. Cut
anyway, it's. I was just repeating myself.
Okay.
It's you got the Democrats and the Republicans. They both agree that Nancy made the right move, and that's how you know that this is
American propaganda.
An American crisis that's being created to benefit the empire, to keep the military-industrial complex moving. And it just so happens that, anybody in politics is, if they are not already invested in the companies that will be benefiting from a crisis in Taiwan, they will be shortly.
Well, it's interesting because Reuters did publish this headline here. Chinese chip IPO is bet on double self-sufficiency. So China already almost like they're defeated. Like, hey, we got to self-sustain our ability to, create chips. We may not be able to rely on Taiwan.
Yeah, there's an interesting, deeper analysis to the CHIPS bill. For those who don't know, the CHIPS bill was a Democrat-sponsored led bill to encourage building semiconductor manufacturing facilities in the U.S. There's a lot of other stuff in there. There's a lot of pork. There's a lot of stuff hidden in there. And that's why you have people like Rand Paul opposing it, because that's what he does. He opposes things that have secret things in them. But indeed, it is the bill that will, those who benefit from things like Taiwan will also be benefiting from the CHIPS bill. Yeah.
And the other thing that I found interesting and related to Pelosi here, this is a National Pulse article, so, take it for what it is. But the headline here is revealed Pelosi linked lobbyists are pushing China's social credit system for American citizens.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's the thing. They are politicians. They might, have a political stance opposing China, but they're also jealous. They hate us because they ain't us. That's what Xi says about American politicians.
Yeah. So, it's one of those issues where I look at, we've covered the Confucius Institute. We've looked at, we've reported more recently about Chinese spies in our government and things like that. Not just recently, but over the years. And so that's where I'm coming from. Maybe not Pelosi on the phone with Xi, like I'm doing this for you, but in terms of, you're right, like the globalist elite, maybe not just even globalist, but the elite factions controlling, moving the chess pieces around. It seems like that's Pelosi's final move is more for the elite company than America itself, but nothing new or surprising there.
Yeah. And, it is interesting because they did mention Xi's, he's going for a third term as president over there in China, or he's trying to become president for life. So he's just got a lot going on. I mean, he's going full tyranny over there, which is not a surprise. And Lord knows our presidents would love to change the Constitution to allow themselves to be president for life.
How long has Pelosi been in government? Long time, right?
Like
40 years.
It's been her career. She's a career politician.
Yeah.
But, she's been high level congressional person for 30, 40 years, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like you lose sight of what's going on with the people.
Oh, you're just living in the chess game.
Yeah.
You're not even living a normal human life. You're living in some grand strategic chess game that has no resemblance to a normal person's experience.
I do have one other kind of loose theory about what's going on with Nancy. Is that, if you go to our additional stories section of our show notes, you'll see a bunch of stuff that producer Jam put together. Thank you, producer Jam. It's a list of Paul Pelosi updates where it looks like he's probably going to go to jail for some of the stuff, the DUI and the drugs and all that. And
the drugs.
Yeah, he had, when he got pulled over, it looked like he was not just.
He had drugs when he got his DUI?
I think so, yeah. And he handed his official thing back to I don't know. There's a whole thing.
Like his medical marijuana card or
something. And so my whole thesis which is not a serious thesis, but it's Nancy just looking, going to hang out with her other boyfriend in Taiwan. Just like, hey, but Paul, you're going to jail. Let me go see my other boyfriend. So
Poor Paul. Paul's got some serious, what is it? Inferiority complex, I think. I think he's coping. That's why he's using drugs and getting in trouble. He feels like a small man next to his very powerful wife,